This thing, it's gonna follow you. Somebody gave it to me, and I passed it to you, back in the car. It could look like someone you know, or it could be a stranger in a crowd. Whatever helps it get close to you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts,
Abraham
and Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm all right.
All right, has business settled down from last week? No?
No.
Still going crazy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been in words of Alexa. She said, "You had an eventful week."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
eventful. Yeah, it was just an eventful week, and I'm still winding down from it.
All right.
Fair.
So-
Yeah.
Well, I bet it feels even better to decompress when talking about a movie that's as stressful as this one.
Bro, I was stressed.
Yeah. I have to say, I think we all watched this movie for the first time together. Right?
Yeah, we did.
All together with our significant others.
Yeah.
No,
very strange
not
week.
mine. What?
No, that's true. Well, no, we were all together, though. We're all friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You're
we
my
were all
significant other.
we were all sitting around in our living room and put this on just to put it on and watched it. And I remember wanting to check it out, and when we watched it all together, I was just like, "This is actually really good. Like, this is really
I think
interesting." So I was,
we spent the whole day together, didn't we?
yeah, I think so.
We went to church together. We went bowling,
Yeah,
and then you were like, "Let's watch a movie."
Yeah.
yeah,
You
So
just
we
put
did.
it on. And I felt like such a perfect time, too, because the sun was setting.
yeah.
We had the sun coming in.
yeah.
And we just watched a good movie. And we were like, afterwards, we all felt good. Like,
Yeah.
it was a good time.
yeah,
Good
most
time by
definitely.
all.
For sure. So the movie we're going to be talking about today, actually, if you didn't pick it up on last week's episode at the end, is called It Follows. It came out in 2014 and is written and directed by David Robert Mitchell. Now, I have to say, I think I first remember hearing about this movie from a PewDiePie video.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, and I forget which one it was, but it was around that time, and he had talked about how much he liked the movie and how unconventional it was for, horror movies and stuff like that. And it had caught my attention like from then, and then I had never like paid any mind afterwards. And whenever I saw that it got added to Netflix, I was like, oh, like I've heard about this before. I want to check it out. And yeah, my first time watching it was with all of you guys, and
Yeah.
I remember having a good time with it. And I think I enjoyed it, if not just as much, on the rewatch. So I don't know if you guys can say the same, or if you
Yeah,
want to save it for later categories or not.
I found myself getting like stressed in parts that I remember even more.
Yeah.
Cause I finished it and I told Alexa, I said, "Dude, why is this movie good? Like, how is this movie so good?" Because I've heard bad stuff from this movie and good things.
Yeah, that's one thing, is this movie is very polarizing.
Yep.
Yes.
A lot of people either love it or they hate it.
And I was reading reviews before we started recording, and some of them are like 1 out of 10, and then there's a lot of 10 out of 10s, and I'm like, how is it so good? If people thought it was so trash, how is it still getting this many good ratings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that can be really good for a movie because it keeps a conversation going.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
And whenever you have dialogue like that, especially between audience members, it leads to so many like different theories, like what you thought the movie was about, like why you liked it, why you didn't like it, and it leads to just this big discussion about the film and what makes it great or what makes it not so great. And I think that's super important for a film. I think if something, I don't know, sometimes I'm really standoffish to things that like have unanimous praise.
Mm.
Like
Like you're a little wary. You're like, it can't be that good.
Yeah, or like you know when everyone, I'll say like for instance when Squid Game came out, and everyone was like Squid Game, you gotta watch Squid Game. Oh, it's so good, Squid Game. And forever I was just kind of like, nah, I'm asleep on it a little bit.
I
And
still
then-
have yet to watch it.
Yeah, I've definitely done that with shows.
Yeah, and then I finally watched it and I was like, okay, I see what everyone's talking about. It is actually pretty good. But I don't know. I think maybe that's kind of what I'm thinking of here in this instance, where like, you know, if something is being unanimously praised all the time, then it kind of gets that like, nah, I don't know if I want to check it out yet or something. Or I'm gonna let the hype die down maybe a little bit and then hop on maybe later or something.
After watching this one, we obviously know there's a sequel. Would you consider watching sequel?
Is there a sequel confirmed?
Yeah, no, it follows too. There's a whole movie for it.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No.
I saw that there was like, if there
There
was
had
one,
been
that
talks,
there had
but-
been talks that the lead actress would be down to do a sequel. I didn't know if it was confirmed.
No
or not.
way is it confirmed.
If it's confirmed, I'm down to watch.
I'm dumb. It's a parody of the film.
I mean, yeah, if they put out a sequel, I definitely would check it out because I think that this is
The ending
a really cool
almost
idea.
calls for a sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a cool idea.
it'd be interesting to see where they would take it.
I
what
kinda
more
I would
wish
they
they
could
would
definitely
do
like
a prequel.
Yeah, I would like them to unpack way more about it.
It.
Yeah, maybe the
Yeah.
first time it got passed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
or
think
like
that could be
how
pretty
it started.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting.
yeah.
And how, like, I want to know how many, like, down the line until it gets to its origin.
Yeah.
I was
I want to know that because we don't know.
Yeah.
It
I
could
was
have been
reading a
thousands.
review, and they said this is like a pandemic. It's not like once it starts, there's no way it's gonna end
Yeah,
until it gets to the original person.
yeah,
And then what happens, I wonder. See, there's some
There's so
things to
many-
mind there. Yeah,
yeah.
it could be cool.
yeah, most definitely. But yeah, I'm excited to break down this movie for you. I'll give you a brief synopsis real quick before we dive into the categories. So, essentially, this movie is about a young girl who is like around college age, I want to say.
Yeah, I want to.
And,
No clue.
Yeah, I don't think it ever specifies, but
And there's like parents are gone, kids are smoking. they're,
yeah,
like, doing all these
they're
things. I'm like,
drinking.
I don't know. Are they in high school? Or
They
are they?
drive.
I wanna say-
they get tattoos. Like,
I'm not sure.
yeah,
I want to say just fresh out of high school.
Maybe.
yeah, I want to say 18, 19,
Yeah,
possibly.
is what I want to say.
But it's basically about this young girl named Jay, who goes on a date with this young man named Hugh, and they eventually end up sleeping with one another. And what Jay doesn't know is that Hugh gave her this curse, essentially, and it can only be passed to somebody whenever you sleep with them. And so now, basically, Jay is cursed with this thing, or I guess we can call it this entity, that continues to follow her no matter where she goes until she passes this curse on to the next person by sleeping with them.
Yeah.
And it's a movie of just nothing but just rising action. Just the entire time the movie is just building this tension the whole time, and like it'll build and then die off a little bit and then build and die off and build, and it just gets all the way up until that third act and then finally dies down. And I think it's definitely it's something to check out.
Yeah,
It's definitely unique, and I appreciate that, in especially in the genre of horror, because I feel like
horror has gone down.
well, and I feel like everything, it just becomes like a copy of a copy.
Yes.
With horror, where it's like, oh well, we did Jaws, but did you see Jaws in space? Like, or did you see Jaws in the desert? Like
Jaws,
It'd be kind of hard.
Jaws
yeah, like-
versus like Godzilla or something like that.
yeah, and it's like, it's just everything is just like a rehash of some sort, or it wears its inspiration on its sleeve.
You're just trying to keep it alive.
Yeah, and I think that it's super important also to like support these movies whenever they come out, especially these really unique ones, or ones with like fresh takes on ideas, and just in movies in general, because then these movies don't get made if
Yeah.
they don't get supported. And I just think it's super important not only to do that, but also to branch out.
Mhm.
And like I think another movie of like I know a lot of people liked or a lot of people hated was The Babadook.
I've never seen it.
And
And-
that one's like a budget movie. I heard.
Yeah, and people either really, really liked it or they hated it because they're like, oh, it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
it didn't have jump scares, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then it leads into the whole question of like, well, do you need jump scares for a movie to be actually scary? And like all this stuff, which I would argue no. But
no, I don't think so.
yeah, this movie definitely has its jump scares. They're definitely cheap.
They are
jump scares, but yeah, I think it does more than just build tension. There is some scariness to some parts of it. Like I know I got one part where I was kind of, the tension was rising and I was just kind of like, holy crap, like this is insane. It's eating me alive. And then the scare came and it was like, oh man, that's creepy. And then it landed, like it like stayed on the scare for a little too long. And I was just kind of like, all right, this is kind of silly now. Did you get that?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's dive into it a little bit.
Sure.
If you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. It's streaming on Netflix. So if you have a subscription there, go check it out. If you don't, rent it, pick up a copy. I don't have a copy of this, which I would like to have one, I think. So I think the next time we go to Mad Monk, I'm going to have to look for it for sure.
$3. It'll
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah,
You have
for
it?
sure. It can't
No,
be
I don't have it, but I know probably it's there.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, if you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. We're going to be talking about some spoilers. And if you don't care about that stuff, continue to listen. If you do, pause it, check out the movie, and come back. But as always, we'll start here with the first category, which is our favorite scenes. And I'll
Yeah.
go ahead and start us off.
What do you
Yeah.
got? I'm going to guess it's the intro.
Yes.
No,
So
yeah.
I
I
really
100% agree.
Really do like the intro. here.
Okay, yeah. And I like it just because it's really rewarding on the second watch.
Yes.
Because you understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You understand why this lady is like acting a fool outside, and everyone's like, because the camera is, well, you go ahead and talk about it, because the camera is stationary,
Yes.
which I think is sick.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that the camera is just like in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And it's a constant like pan around this like suburban neighborhood.
Mhm.
And I have to say, like, from the jump of the movie, this is how you hook an audience.
Yes.
Like you get put in a random situation, you see somebody freaking out, and they're like, this girl comes out like in like a slip, like she's got like, it looks almost kind of like bedtime.
Yeah, it's not
underwear
very,
or something
yeah.
like that, and she's wearing heels.
Trying to run.
She's trying to run.
You know something's wrong.
And she turns around and she looks terrified. She keeps looking at the house and it's just like she looks like an addict of some sort, and she's acting a fool. And then this lady's like, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? And she's like, no, I'm fine. And just keeps backing up. And then she starts like running in circles around the house, and then eventually runs back in the house and like grabs her keys. The dad comes out and is like, hey, where are you going? What's going on? She gets in the car and just like drives off and runs. And that whole like scene takes like, I think like 3 or 4 minutes.
Mhm.
And it's just no cuts the entire time. And I have to say, bless you. I have to say that I love just that the no cuts, it builds tension the entire time and it draws you in. You immediately are like, what is happening? What is this girl running from? She obviously sees something, but we don't see it. And then she just skirts off.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
I had wrote down that it's just it's the perfect way, like you said, to hook the audience, because you're honestly, I was a little scared watching it, even though I know what's happening, but I was just like, oh shoot, like why can't like do something like, and I was just nervous for her, and just seeing the way that she acts makes me even think like, dude, this person is trying to do something, like wants to do bodily harm to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for sure she was like running away from an abusive ex or something, or like someone in the house was
like,
trying to get her or something, because she was really frantic. And then I questioned, I was like, why the heck is she slowly backing up? Why aren't we seeing anything? What's going on? And the information you get later on retroactively makes you think like, oh, I understand.
I
like
didn't see it the whole time because I wasn't in on the curse.
I wasn't in on it. I don't like.
She
I couldn't have
obviously
seen it.
saw something there.
Yeah, and it's super cool to think about that, because you're like, oh, that makes so much more sense why she kind of did this like circle maneuver.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was thinking like, why the heck?
She just
kinda-
runs in circles to go back in the house
Yeah,
and then run out again.
It's like a little. It seems a little awkward because she comes out, backs up, and doesn't address anything,
yeah.
and then does like a circle to runs back in and goes. I was like, what is she running from?
Yeah.
And it's only until you get the whole idea of the curse and how you can't see it, only the person who has the curse can see it,
Mm-hmm.
you really get that rewarding factor of like, oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's why on the second rewatch, I was like, I forgot they started it like this, because it makes so much more sense knowing what you know later on.
Yeah.
Leading to in that sequence, how'd you feel about when you see what happens?
I
I
have to say
forgot
I
about
like
that.
it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing like, well, and the thing is, like when you watch it the first time, you're kind of like, okay,
What?
this girl's on this beach. She's calling her parents. It's almost like she's like scared for her life. She's almost like saying her goodbyes.
Yeah.
for sure.
And she's like, Dad, I love you. I'm sorry I can be such a piece of crap sometimes. Like, I hope you know that I love you, and I hope you forgive me and all this stuff. And all of a sudden we see her just like
In the morning.
like
just
in the morning, she's laying on the beach, leg is like snapped in half, touching her eyeball.
It's like a Z, dude.
yeah.
It's
And there's just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember the first time watching this, we were immediately we were all like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shoot, what the heck?"
no,
Like,
and I saw it again.
something messed her up.
Yeah, her leg is bent backwards.
Yeah.
Man.
And one of the things I have to say, I think I'll agree with Nick here, is that it's so much more rewarding on a rewatch whenever we see the damage that this thing can do.
Yeah, it's
What-
actually serious.
Yeah.
Something to be afraid of.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole intro for me is up until that point.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it now. Do you think she just like gave up?
For sure.
She probably was just like, okay,
probably was
I'm
running
sick and
for-
tired of it.
Yeah, she probably was just running for so long that she just kind of, accepted her fate and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me think, because obviously we get introduced. Are you done with your favorite scene?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go to the next scene. It's not my favorite, but just want to talk about it.
I think it connects really well.
connects
if
really
what you're
well.
talking- yeah. Oh, it's so
Um,
cool. Okay, go ahead.
Because what I think is it came from Hugh. And
For
so
sure.
she couldn't get rid of it, so it's back to Hugh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it has to be. And because I was really curious and confused as
Because
to
he
why.
changes his name
Well-
multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's his name when he's with Jay?
His
Okay.
name is
Hugh.
Hugh whenever he's
But that's
with
what we
Jay,
know him
but
as.
then he changes it, or that's the name he changed
Or his
it
name
to.
is
His
Jeff,
original
right?
name is like Jeff.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but I was confused because in the theater they're playing this funny game where you have to pretend to be someone, and the person who's with you has to try to guess who you would be and why.
Yeah.
And of course they go through it a bunch of times, and he chooses a kid because I got a whole life ahead of you and all that stuff. But he
I would
goes,
choose a kid too.
yeah,
I'm just
it
saying.
makes sense. But he goes to say like, "Oh, you're that girl over there," and obviously, well, we don't know it because we don't see it.
Mhm.
But he's saying like, "Oh, you're that girl in the white coat over there, or the yellow coat."
The yellow dress.
And Jay is like, "What are you talking about? There's no one there. Are you just messing with me?" And he immediately is like, "Oh, frick!" Like,
Yeah.
And that's why
You
it
can't
ties
see
in
it,
really
so
well, because I was like, oh, okay, so it came from you. It had to come from you.
yeah, yeah, because the fact that he didn't know that the thing was coming after him,
Yes.
and whenever he saw it is when he started to sweat bullets.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like too that again
He's
is
getting
more
around.
is more rewarding.
He's getting around.
Yeah, he is.
little-
Dang.
One of the things I really like that's again more rewarding on a rewatch is watching Hughes' mannerisms whenever they're waiting in line. Like he's on edge, and if you can watch him, and he's kind of just like looking around, looking at his shoulders,
It's
trying
like
to
he
see
has a
like
hit on him.
yeah, like he's trying to make sure that he's good in every circumstance, and they play it off like. They play it off like he's just kind of like I don't really care, like I'm the cool guy, like we're just gonna check this movie out, and I'm gonna treat you right and all this stuff. But like he's acting like, he's looking around because he doesn't know when this thing's gonna come or where
Or
it's
if
gonna
that
show up
person
at.
passed it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he can see it
Yeah.
because he's passed it on, he's had it,
Yes.
but you're never going to know if it's coming for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that constant fear of being able to see it but not knowing if it's coming for you,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would make me poop bricks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Honestly, because now you're in that constant state of fear that someone's coming after you.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, that
So
that could be pretty
So
terrifying.
I agree with you. His mannerisms are, you can tell.
Mhm.
Yeah. You guys have any favorite scenes after that?
My next favorite scene is not until the lake house.
Okay.
Mine too.
Well, I have to say one of my favorite scenes is when they do the deed.
No, I hated the scene.
It's
So,
tough to watch.
It's tough to watch,
And
and I will say that.
I blame you for it.
Why?
When I see the scene, it makes me think of the movie Monster.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's a tough
I
connection.
immediately,
Yeah.
I immediately watched it and I was like, oh, bro, Monster. Like, I just thought about that scene
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I was just like, I hate this. I hate this.
Yeah, I the only reason that I'll say I really enjoy this scene is because of the shot of them in the car. Is just so sick. Like I love the like where they're like on top of each other making out in the back, and you see like the glow of the orange of this car and like all the lights on the inside, and the way that the cinematography is throughout this entire movie is just beautiful.
Yes.
And the way that they make the shots look and everything is great. And one of the things that I'll have to say I really appreciate about this scene is that it starts out like something like, I don't want to say innocent, but like it starts out as like something like, you know, like, oh, we're not supposed to see this. Like, this is an intimate moment. It's a private moment between them. And they, you know, they sleep with one another in the back of this car. And I don't know, we get this impression that like Jay is really happy with this guy and is just like, man, like, and she even starts going on to say like, you
She's
know,
like
I had all
twiddling
the,
with the flower.
yeah, and she's like, I had
She's
all these
genuinely happy.
Yeah, she's like, I had all these ideas of like, you know, who I'd end up with whenever I was a kid and like who I'd always be holding hands with and stuff. And, you know, the entire time, you know, while she's doing this, Hugh is in the trunk, like messing around with something, and we're not shown what it is. And then eventually he gets into the, you know, he goes around to the other side of the car and gets in and, you know, kind of like starts kissing her like on the shoulders and thinks like the audience on the first watch is like, he's, you know, trying to be sweet to her or something, right? And then all of a sudden things take a turn for like the very disturbing. And he pulls out like a rag, which I can only assume has like chloroform on it or something, and like holds it to her face and knocks her out. And it stays there for a long time. And I don't know, like the feeling of seeing this woman like go limp is
weird.
Is hard to watch.
Yeah, 100%.
And why I will say that this is my favorite scene is because of like this exposition that gets brought onto us, and you know why he did this in the first place and all this stuff. And first off, this guy's just a big old coward. Like he sets up his character to not be liked like immediately. And we wake up, this woman's like tied to a wheelchair in some abandoned building. And I don't know about you guys, the first time I watched it, I was just like, this guy's gonna like kill her. Like he's gonna like torture her or do something, and like that's gonna be the whole like thing of the film or something. And but it doesn't do that, and it turns into this whole thing where it's like, hey, something's gonna follow you. It followed me, but now I passed it to you, and the only way that you can, you know, get it to stop following you is if you pass it to somebody else. And in order to do that, you need to sleep with somebody else. And in order to make sure it doesn't come back to you, make sure that person you slept with also sleeps with somebody else. So because if it gets to them and it kills them, it's going to come back down the line. And if it gets to you, then guess what? It's going to get to me. And I'm going to start seeing it, and then I'm going to have to pass it to somebody else, and I just want to be done with it. And the first time I was watching this, I was intrigued. Like I was genuinely like, this is interesting. Like this is
the way it works and
yeah,
stuff?
this is really interesting the way that this works. Like we can see this thing, only we can see it because we have the curse. It walks really slowly, but it's not dumb. And it will take its time to get to you, and if it gets to you, it will kill you. The only way that you can get this thing to get away from you is if you pass the curse on to somebody else. And then he, you know, goes as far as to be like, look, here it is right here. I'm showing you this because I want you to know that it's real. And, you know, it's this naked woman at the time, and she, you know, eventually makes her way up the building and is walking towards Jay, and she's freaking out and it's just like, let me out. Like,
I think
I want to be done. I don't want to be here anymore. And then eventually like lets her go, unties her, and then brings her back to her house. And it's just like, okay, see ya.
I think one of the
Like-
biggest, scariest parts of this is when he explains that it can be anything. It can be someone you love. It could be anything. Just to get, or any person, so
Yeah.
to say, just to get close to you. So
Yeah.
it could be
He says it could be a stranger. It could be your family.
exactly.
It could be somebody you've met before. Like it can be anybody. It will do anything it can to get close
and
to
that's
you.
what I think is scary.
Yeah.
Because imagine just at the movie theater, and you see like a friend, and you don't think anything, but it just starts going at you.
Yeah, you're out of there.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was interesting because, you'd think that the worst part about this scene would be the chloroform scene.
Yes.
But then you get this weird almost like an intimate it's she was taken advantage of in her innocence, or in her when she was really vulnerable, and then now you see this naked woman coming at her, and she's the most vulnerable woman there is, and yet she's the danger.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting subversion, because you're supposed to hate this guy, but now you've got this force of nature that is literally going to follow you forever and kill you.
Yes.
And it almost seems to kind of overshadow his action just slightly.
Yeah.
Because you're like, it's weird that you're seeing some a naked lady that seems so not she couldn't do any damage. She has no weapons. She's nothing like that. And yet you still feel this weird presence.
Yeah.
You feel well, I've seen what it did to the other girl at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's dangerous, but how could a
how?
naked
How
lady
could she do anything?
Right.
Yeah.
It started engaging some of those questions, and I was like, it's interesting that not that I hate him less, but I sort of understand what he's trying to do.
No,
Yeah.
I was just
In a very kind of backwardsy way.
I get what you're saying, because I was about to say, it almost makes me feel okay that he did that.
Well,
Mm.
I think there are
How-
definitely
how-
easier ways to
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of calls into
Imagine
question
you-
why to do that. There's so many other ways.
I don't think there's another way.
There's so many ways. You could literally just be hey, I know you're not gonna believe me, but you, now that you've stepped with me, you'll understand. Look, there's gonna be a lady that comes, and she's gonna kill. And she's just gonna be looking at you, and she's gonna be naked.
I don't think
or
it'll work.
she'll be something. How would it not work? It would definitely work. She could be standing in the same place without having to get chloroformed, seeing a naked lady walk towards you. You're not gonna be scared, and you're not gonna believe him. I would be oh, fool,
If
you're
you
right.
came up to
You
me,
didn't have to chloroform me. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but it presented an interesting idea of look, there's an innocent person here. We just saw some gruesome assault,
Yes.
and yet there's still an innocent person who is even more dangerous, which I thought was super interesting. It's a subversion of that. No, the innocent one is the danger.
Yeah.
I am the one who knocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is what I enjoyed about that scene, is where I was oh, that's cool that they tried to do that.
Yeah, definitely. From there, I have to say I really enjoy the scene of them all staying the night at Jay's house,
That is
where
a big
the
grown
window
moment for me.
breaks.
Oh, yes. Oh, and they're
And-
on the couch sharing
Yes.
our old stories.
Yeah, and so this is after everything happens, and Jay has already seen it on her campus, and it was walking towards her in the form of an old woman,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know, maybe I can only assume would be a grandma or
Yeah.
some sort or something like
Yeah,
that. But
someone in
it's-
a hospice or something.
yeah, but it's walking towards her. It's very creepy, and the whole time she's in this English class, and they're talking about Lazarus rise from the dead and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and there's this woman just making her way to her, and she can't keep her eyes off her.
The camera slowly zooming.
Yeah, and as soon as she starts to get up and leave, Grandma comes around the corner and just keeps going. And one of the things that I really liked about that whole scene too is that the way that they frame subjects in this movie, and the way that they use cinematography, they use a lot of slow zooms, and everything is very symmetrical and very even and balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I like specifically in this shot is that whenever she turns the corner, she starts to walk away, and you see an exit sign that's pointing the opposite way from the way she's walking.
Mm.
So when I saw that, I am immediately you're going the wrong way. And immediately it starts putting you in this fight or flight mode where you're what are you going to do if you're going the wrong way? Exit says that way. You're
Mhm.
going this way.
Yeah.
Now
that I think about it too, even the guy, when he wheels her out, he goes, never go into a building that only has one exit.
Exactly.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's definitely if you caught that, you're biting your nails. You're
Yeah.
you're going to get cornered with the old lady.
Exactly.
You're getting bodied.
Yeah, for real.
Body.
And so eventually that's her first sighting of it after everything happened with Hugh. And she eventually goes home. She tells, her friends Paul and her sister Kelly about the sighting that she saw, and they say, okay, we'll all stay the night, and we're all, just going to make sure that nothing happens to you, essentially. And Paul volunteers to sleep over and stay downstairs on the couch and make sure that she's going to be okay.
But can we just talk about that real quick? They just roast him.
Yeah, they do.
They
They're
roast the
like,
crap on him. They're like, no.
you're not staying the night.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were like, Paul's gonna wake up trying to hump your
your
leg or
leg.
something. But yeah. So they let him stay the night on the couch, and he's promising that he's gonna stay up and protect her and make sure she's fine. And eventually, it gets to the point where Jay goes downstairs and says she can't sleep. So they both, Paul and Jay, sit on the couch with one another while Yara and Kelly are upstairs sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And they're watching this like old monster movie, it looks like, and then all of a sudden we hear glass break. And Jay freaks out, and Paul immediately is like, all right, what was that? Like, let's go check it out. And he goes around the corner.
The way they frame it too, it's
yeah,
so
it's so ominous.
like immediately you're like, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Come on.
either he's not gonna come back or something's gonna come around
Yeah.
that corner.
Yeah, and it's just this shot of like 2 different hallways, and he walks away, and the camera stays there. And it stays there for like a couple seconds, and you're kind of just like, I don't know about you guys, but I even after seeing this movie, I think like it would be so sick to like not have a jump scare right there, but just see like somebody else just walk like out immediately, and then have that score come in that like immediately I would have been like,
You'd be scared.
whoa, dude, run! like I would be freaking out.
Yeah.
But we see him come back, and he's like, oh, somebody broke the window. Like, I'm gonna call the cops or something. And so she's like, okay, fine. And he leaves, and this is like my favorite part of this entire scene is whenever she goes to look and see what the broken window is.
Yeah.
And it's this slow, crawl to this broken window, and it's almost like the director's like leading you right over to the jump scare that's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just when I was talking about how I really liked how like the tension is just being built the whole time, and it's slow motion, and there's this music that's coming, and we see this woman with this genuine like sense of fear on her face, like trying to look around the corner, and as soon as she sees it, there's this woman just there with her freaking boob out,
Yeah.
and she's like peeing all over herself and all this stuff, and immediately I'm just kind of like,
What?
oh crap, like what the heck is going on? And this is one of the instances where I said that some of the scares stay there for a little too long, and they kind of make it funny,
Mhm.
or they like take away the impact of what the scare was. And in this instance, like the camera just keeps focusing on like this girl and how like messed up she looks, and she's like peeing all over herself, and like it cuts back to her, and she's like and then it cuts back, and she's again like still peeing all over herself and walking and everything, and it kind of got to the point where I was like,
All right.
I think you kind of killed it a little bit with like showing her too much. I think if you had just showed like a solitary shot of like her, maybe kept it for a little bit longer, and then showed her reaction, maybe that would have been a more impactful scare. I don't know. I thought just like the cutting back and forth and showing like, oh, look how creepy she is, she's peeing, oh, like was like it felt like it was kind of like it's trying too hard a little bit.
Maybe
know?
a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they do that like slow-mo realization thing too.
Yeah.
It kind of took me out. They do
Yeah.
it quite a few times in situations like this where she kind of like
Yeah.
and the camera is slowed down, and she kind of like falls back
Yeah.
and catches herself and runs around the corner.
Yeah. But I do have to say, what I really do enjoy about this scene is the big dude.
Yes,
That is
genuinely, I
is
think that's the
scary.
scariest part. For
that
me.
is
No,
scary.
It was
It's
really,
terrifying.
it was
I-
pretty scary.
I wrote it down in my notes as a bro moment, and I said, tell me why I jumped when it showed up in the house.
I called him
first time.
Daddy Longneck.
Seriously,
No, they have
bro.
some. No, you can't say Daddy Long. Like they have that guy who's Daddy Long.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
Yeah.
got that guy. That's a copyright infringement, I bet.
Yeah, but dude, yeah, that part is scary.
It
That part
truly
genuinely
is.
scared me.
Yeah.
it makes me.
And I love the tension building of everything, because we know this thing's in the house.
They
already.
delay it too.
And the entire time she runs into her room, locks herself in her room. And first off, I'm like,
one
why
exit.
would you run upstairs
One exit. Like
and lock yourself in a room?
I-
Like you are severely hurting your chances of surviving here.
like the only other chance of her getting out is jumping out the window.
Exactly.
That's what she does.
And so she locks herself up there, and then Kelly and Paul are like, what's going on? What's happening? And they're like, she's like, I saw it. Like, it was a girl down there, and she was coming after me. It's here. And, there's nothing I can do. And they're kind of like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And then we start to hear like a jiggling of the handle, and immediately we're like, oh shoot, what is this?
She did.
And then we hear Yara, and she's like, guys, it's me, let me in. And I don't know about you guys, but
I thought it was a fake.
I thought I was like, it could be fake.
Mm.
Like it could be disguising itself as Yara. It's gonna let itself in and be like, boom, killer, you know. And that's the beauty, I think, of a movie like this, is that you don't know
what's
what and what could be. Like that's the scariest part of this, is that there's so much unknown about it, and that's what makes this movie scary.
Yeah.
But it ends up being Yara, and she's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then all of a sudden we see this freaking like 7-foot guy
Just
with butthole eyes.
He's got
like
darkened raccoon eyes.
Yeah, and he just like it just emerges from the darkness of this hallway, and like kind of crouches under the door to get in, and immediately Jay is just like and freaks out and like
Oh, dude,
climbs out the window and just like scurries down, and then all of a sudden, you know, it cuts to Greg. He's with some girl like smoking in the car, and then they see her, and she's just like taken off to this park that's nearby, and yeah, it's a genuinely good scene, I think, once it gets to that part.
For sure.
But
Yeah. I want to interject when they're on the couch before the scene all starts, and they're talking about like, remember the first time we kissed and all that? Paul, he is wearing sweats. Those like
don't tell me.
those plaid sweats. I own those.
Oh, I thought you were gonna see something different.
No. I saw that and I was like, wow, those look familiar. I was like, what the heck? Paul knows what's up. He's got the comfort.
That's
I was
Comfort in
expecting
mind.
Something totally different.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say he was bricked up. Like
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say he was bricked up 'cause he's with
talking
her.
about how he kissed one time.
That's what I thought you were gonna
Dude,
say.
you know how much funnier the scene would be if he was just
Yeah,
pitching a tent right there? I would. Oh man, I'd die laughing.
yeah, for sure.
No, just had to put that out there.
Yeah, but from there, my last favorite scene is when they're on the beach.
Yeah, this beach scene
Yeah,
is,
that
This
was
beach
house.
scene is insane.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if one of you guys want to take this one.
You can take this one because I think this is,
This is my first, the one that I
yeah. Because I have
written
one
down.
more after that, and I'll do that one.
Okay, so the beach scene I think is super awesome because, you know, all the people finally they're starting to believe her, right? They do a bunch of stuff together, and they end up saying like, we got to go to this house, we got to go somewhere, and they start to like booby trap it almost, and they put like cans on the windows, they do all kinds of stuff, right? And it's like when you think that it wouldn't get them, like you would think, okay, it's gonna be at nighttime, that thing's gonna come and get them, break in, it's gonna be all scary. But no, it's literally pure bright daytime. They're all at the beach, visible, and you don't know anything, right? There's people kind of walking, doing whatever. They did some gun training beforehand, so you know that they've got a weapon in that little shack thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of are getting all these pieces, right? And you're thinking, okay, what's gonna happen? And you see this like figure in the distance, and you could think that maybe someone's walking by, but it's only until that guy, I forget his name now, the guy with the longer hair.
Greg.
Paul?
Is it? No, I'm talking about Greg.
Yeah.
The guy that
The first
Take the-
person.
Yes.
Because you don't think anything of this person walking by. Maybe you're a little wary of it, but he gets up and kind of walks past, and he would see it. He would see it if it was there, if it was a
Exactly.
person, and he goes past, and you're immediately like, oh frick, like it's
Yeah.
coming, and nobody is noticing. She's got her back towards the sea. She's not gonna know.
Yeah.
And nobody like, oh, come get in the water. One Yara says, and then all of a sudden you see her hair lift
Yeah.
up, and you're immediately like, so it's about to
Shoot.
go down.
Yeah.
So it's about to go down right now.
I have to say, one of the things I really like about this scene, to interject real quick,
Sure,
is the figure that's walking up looks like Yara.
it does.
So it's disguising itself as this person, and then whenever we see Yara float like from out of the left side of the screen on an inner
Oh,
tube,
yes.
she's immediately like, hey, come get in the water. And I'm like, that's not
That's
her.
not her.
That's
Wait,
not the real
is
one.
it the same actress?
Yes,
Oh, that makes sense why she says, what does it look like? And she goes, you don't want to know.
exactly.
Oh, I totally didn't get that.
Yeah, so whenever you see her walking by and then you see her float by on the inner tube, I'm like, that's the wrong one.
Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I would have caught that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
that's when you see the freaking get pulled up, and Kelly looks over and is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And that's when they
Yeah.
finally realized that she wasn't joking the whole time.
No.
Yeah.
This thing has got some physicality to it.
Yeah,
like,
straight up pulling her hair, like trying to fight her.
and someone comes up. I think it's Paul. And
Yeah,
hits
he
her with
whacks
the-
her with the
the
lawn
chair.
chair. And then he gets yeeted,
He
dude.
gets
Bro, he gets launched. He gets.
He
like-
freaking goes, like, gets thrown.
I don't know how he's up after that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude,
Honestly, the adrenaline.
out.
Have you played dead? I'm like, I don't want to fight anymore.
You're on your
eventually.
own. Oh,
Because it shows that it messes up his stomach. Like, he lifts up his shirt when they're in
Yeah.
the shack, and it's just red. Like, you can. Like, it looks like almost like talons, dude.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
went at him.
yeah.
Mhm.
And there's even another tension building scene too, where they grab the gun and she's straight up shooting it, but Jeff comes in, or
Greg.
Greg comes and runs up, and he like it
And
looks
she's
like,
like,
she's shooting at
Just
him.
anything. And he's like, stop. Why are you shooting?
And now we're like, he's gonna get shot. Like, oh, what? You know,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of things going on here.
exactly.
That really is driving the home like, this is dangerous.
Yeah,
she's gonna die
seriously.
right now.
Yeah. And then she finally shoots the thing in the head.
Oh, it's in the like
Or in the neck,
Yeah,
right.
it falls over.
And it falls over.
But gets right back
only
up.
to get back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, how are we supposed to kill this thing then? Like, is it indestructible? Like, it's just this constant threat that is like, it's not gonna die
Yeah.
no matter what happens. And eventually, like, you know, they shut the door to the shack thing, and then, it starts like banging on the door, and eventually, like, the bottom of the door gets blown out somehow. I forget exactly.
I don't
how,
know. Someone
but-
probably kicked it or something.
Yeah, but then Greg comes by and he puts his head in and is like, hey, what the heck did you do to my door, dude? Like, what the heck's going on? Why are you shooting the gun? And she's like, stop, it's out there, you know? And then, it cuts to this, again, it's another one of those scares where, it kind of pushes things a little too far.
Mhm.
And I think it could be more effective had the kid not went, like, I think it could have been so much more scary if the kid was just like,
If it
like,
just peeked
like
its head in there.
stoic.
Oh, stoic?
And just like no emotion whatsoever, and just kept crawling in. Like, I think it would have been much more scary rather than him going like
I
coming
agree.
in. It just made it funny
Yeah.
to me. And eventually, the thing takes the form of this kid, and he comes in and squeals, and then eventually Jay is like, I'm getting
I'm
out
outta
of
here.
and breaks out from another exit, and then runs, takes the car, and leaves them, and is just like, "Boo, I'm out, bye."
Yep.
This
Crashes
led
that
in,
jump.
yeah, this has led into a bro moment for me when she crashes, and it's a bro moment because the CGI green screen that they've got on
For
this
the
scene
corn?
is bad.
Is it?
It's corn.
It's bad, and like you can totally tell. I don't know if it was just me, but you can totally tell that like she's sitting in like a car that they put a green screen in front of, and she's like trying to act out like
She's.
like
Getting
swerving
tossed.
around, and then whenever she crashes, she goes like, oh.
Oh, I didn't notice
And
that.
you could, it's super noticeable. So
Yeah.
I'll have to pull it up maybe and let you guys check it out. But
I
I
would-
was watching it, and the whole time I was like, this looks so obviously green screen, and it took me out of the film. So it was a bro moment for me.
I was too busy questioning why she was leaving her friends.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
Well, what else would you do? Be honest.
well, you see the thing, and your friends are running, and the thing is walking. You would get your friends into the vehicle and drive, because you could see the thing walking. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, I get that she's like terrified, but you gotta have some logic.
Yeah.
That is logic.
It's
I
not
think that's logic.
It's not logic. How are you gonna like? You literally stealing the car, leaving your friends when
But
their
it
friends are
doesn't-
way more capable of escaping this thing. This thing is so slow.
Yeah.
It literally is like a
But it's
measly
only
pace.
following her, so why?
Why
your
leave her
friend-
friends?
It's not gonna do anything to your friends.
But why leave them?
Yeah.
They're
To
there
get
to
away.
help you.
How are
They're-
they gonna help you if they can't see it?
Well, that's another thing. I know a solution to that problem. you just get a.
Those glasses from 13 Ghosts.
No, I'm just saying you just get everyone to sleep together.
Yeah, that's true.
So you all could see. That's something I talked about earlier. But she was leaving her friends, and I was like, why? You have no reason.
And he-
Like, I get that you're scared, but
I
the
think
thing
I
is
would
kind
too,
of
though.
slow.
I think I would too, though.
Like, it's slow. And you can see that your friends are literally running. Like, they're going to outpace this thing no problem. Like,
Yeah.
just let them get in the car and go.
No
Yeah.
offense to you guys, I love you both. I don't think if I knew someone was coming after me, you guys are adults. You guys are more capable of getting another car. Let me
That's
escape.
dirty,
This
They're
bro.
like 17.
That's dirty, bro.
They don't have other cars. I don't
the
even know where
same.
they're at.
He's the same guy where in your war zone, and he's like, "I can't res you, bro. I got 13 kills, man."
No, that's not me. That's Kyle.
That's nah, bro. If you're leaving us in the dust like that because
That's
you want to
team-
protect yourself,
no team players.
bro.
Your guys are fine. You guys are not gonna die by this thing.
But what if we were?
But
You
like
don't
I
know.
didn't
the
sleep
thing,
with y'all.
You
the
don't
thing
know.
poses no threat at the moment. Like it's
To
far
you
away.
guys, to me it does.
I know, but why would you leave us? Like it doesn't. It's such an easy fix. Like, hey, get in the run and get in the car, and we still have maybe 30 seconds. I mean, it's pretty far down there. Like, just get in the car. We'll all go together. Like, I get that she's really scared, and I know that that's what they're trying to hum up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's so scared that she can't even think about logic because she just shot in the neck and got back up. But I was
I
just
don't.
like,
I think if someone was coming after you,
if I was in this situation, I'd be like, I'd open all the doors and I'd be like, yo, get in, let's go. I wouldn't leave you fools. Like that doesn't seem. You gotta have a village to get through this thing, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like, that's the whole time I was questioning. I was like, oh, come on. So
I don't know.
teach their own. I see.
Yeah.
But
I love-
that's
I
the
love
end of my
you-
favorite
I love
scene.
you still, but
What's your next favorite scene?
my
Yeah.
last favorite scene is the ending, the pool scene.
The pool. Okay.
And specifically because it's intense. Although it's kind of corny. Don't get me wrong. But it's intense because so much is happening.
Uh huh.
And I think about specifically when she finally sees it and it's inside the pool house.
She's pointing.
Oh,
He scared him. He thought I was here.
I'm pointing at something and I was like, what am I
So,
looking
oh,
at?
crap. No, I was replicating what she did. Who's pointing?
So it's here. Yeah.
Bro.
Well, hey, do you see that? Imagine, dude.
I'm pushing you away and I'm escaping.
I'd be an inch taller because doo doo.
Yeah.
Dude.
Seriously.
Anyways, favorite scene. They're in this school pool, right?
Yeah, in the
The town
They
pool.
like-
I
yeah,
call them the town pool.
The public
Pool.
pool.
Yeah.
And they surround the pool with plugged-in electronics,
plugged in
thinking they're gonna get this thing to get in the pool and electrocute it.
Electrocute it. But it's scary. What stresses me out is like Nick did. He's pointing where it's at, where she sees it, and I forget who gets the gun. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Paul.
Paul gets the gun and starts shooting, and ends up shooting.
Yara
Yara.
shoots her in the leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Bro, dude, are you kidding me? Like you don't know where you're shooting?" I mean,
Yeah.
It's a little weird. It's a little awkward how they because. Well, is he shooting at it? No, he's shooting at it when the like the tablecloth thing isn't on it, right?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So he's just shooting into
He's
thin
just
air.
shooting.
He's like looking at her. He's like, ah, that
Yeah.
thigh looks pretty good.
Yeah. Seriously.
So I was
You
kind of
give
like,
me some.
yeah. Seriously.
yeah, he straight up shoots her, and it's on accident. But it's like, bro, what are you looking at other than
Yeah.
what's there? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was interesting.
And it's just, it's like I said, it's just a lot happening, and it just makes it intense. And that's
Yeah.
why I liked it.
I have to say it's a bro moment too when we find out. So we don't get told a lot about Jay's parents. I think we get like brief like glimpses of her mom, but we get shown a lot of photos.
Yes.
And I think one of the bro moments in this scene is finding out that this is presumably her dead father, who
Yes.
it takes form of the last, version of the thing, it. And it kind of just adds like this like other layer of fear that like your dad is trying to kill you, your dead father. Yeah. I thought that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I do have to say too, I brought this up to Nick yesterday. This whole scene in the public pool reminds me of this music video
Mm-hmm.
that I saw when I was, I think, in middle school. My older cousin Jimmy showed it to me. And it's for this song called Fantasy by this artist called Dye, stylized D-Y-E. And the music video, I mean, it's disturbing in its own right. But it's about it's like this like anime style, and it shows these like 4 people breaking into this public pool and swimming, and one of them starts to like make out with one of the other people there, and they start to get a little fondly. And in doing so, it like creates these like monsters that basically like wreak havoc on the other 2 people in the pool and like rip them to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched this scene again, it made me think of that music video. And I immediately thought, like, I wonder if this like had anything to do with the influence of this scene specifically, or maybe even the movie. Because like even the music video has these themes of like, you know, having your purity like ripped away from you, or like no longer being pure because you know somebody took that from you. And yeah, I couldn't see anything that like linked the two or like had any definitive fact as like, oh yeah, this is inspiration, but I feel like it is, and it's just not being said, or nobody knows about it. So, but yeah. Well, that's it for favorite scenes. Let's get into the best quote category.
Yes.
I didn't have anything for best quote.
Neither did I.
I didn't even write it down. It's just coming to my head now. It's the Yara. She's sitting on the couch and she goes, "Oh, do you guys hear that? Or
Yeah.
do you guys have like that idea?" And then she goes, "Purr."
Yeah.
That was a
Oh,
bro
it
moment
was.
for me.
Yeah,
It just rips butt, dude.
but
Yeah.
I saw that I was like,
Yeah, dude.
"All right."
Yeah.
That's the only one I like could recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, there
Okay.
wasn't.
Yeah, this movie isn't terribly quotable.
There is one. It was kind of, I laughed because it's when they finally reconnect with Hugh,
Okay.
Jeff now, and they're sitting in this like circle in the field, and he's explaining all the stuff that's going down, and like a soccer girl walks by, and he goes, "Do you see that girl right there?" And the girl, like, I don't know what it was, but her facial reaction was just like walking by. She goes like, she's walking, and then she goes. I don't know how to explain it, but it made me laugh hard.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's it though.
Okay. All right. If that's it for the best quotes, then let's get into some bro moments.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay.
My first one was seeing the body at the beach of the first girl.
Okay.
Of course that's wild. But can we talk about that shell phone?
Yeah, that was my first bro moment.
Yeah, I thought it was like a reader, like a.
You think it's like a Kindle?
Yeah, like a Kindle of some sort.
In the shape of a shell?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly, what it is probably is because they do the same thing with like soda in this movie, where like they don't want to pay like any
Yeah,
like
they just
product
say
placement
cola.
type thing. Yeah, so they like have these like random little things where it just says like cola on a can, you know, so they don't have to like pay any advertisers or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
I
maybe it looks
think
like
it's,
it's a mirror.
yeah, I think it's the same thing in this instance where like this was probably like a makeup like flip up mirror,
Yeah.
and then they just like CGI'd it to look like it's like a reader.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Almost reminds me of a pear phone from like Victoria's.
Yeah, exactly. And they even go as far to use it as like a light source in
Yeah.
like certain scenes and stuff,
Yeah.
which is it's cool. It's
It's
innovative.
literally a shell though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. The next bro moment I had is when she is like finally getting fed up of like hiding and running and all that, and she goes. First off, she sleeps on top of her car. Which
Yeah,
was-
that's counterintuitive to me, man.
I know. I was
If
like,
something's gonna come after me, guess what?
I'm
I'm gonna
sleeping
be
inside.
in the car locked.
locked, and you're on like you have literally have something to sleep on that's comfortable. Why you sleep on the top of your car? Doesn't make any sense.
Who
Which-
knows? It might be. It's because it's flat.
Dude, I saw that. I was like, what? What kind
Try
of
sleeping
decision?
on the top of your car.
Never would I. I'd dent that thing first off.
Yeah, seriously.
But she goes to the beach and she sees some guys in a boat, and she
Oh,
Oh,
starts.
you're deep in the movie.
She starts undressing, and it's kind of implied that she goes.
That she goes out there and
Like-
sleeps with them.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's never really
It's never hinted at if she does it or if she doesn't.
no.
It's all implied.
Yeah. So
Which
that
I think she does.
I think she doesn't go through with it. I think she gets in the water,
I don't know.
but that's the thing is like you're telling me that this thing got out there so quickly and killed like all three of those guys?
She only had
Well,
to
she
sleep with
didn't-
one.
Yeah, and she didn't. Maybe she didn't. Well, why would she not explain it though? Like
Because
Yeah,
she's
the whole
fed
point.
up.
Like if you're gonna sleep with someone,
She
it's
coulda
to,
just
it's
said,
to get
"Hey,
rid of it and like to
I'm
keep
a
it
little
away.
bit. I'm
Yeah.
a little bit on the hot side right now. Let's do the deed.
Yeah, but it's like counterintuitive if you don't tell them,
Exactly. It is. You're prolonging the inevitable.
and they're gonna die like very quickly.
Yeah, they're stranded
I guess I can
out
see
in the
what
middle
you're
of the
saying.
ocean. The thing's gonna go out there and just rip them all to shreds, and then be like, "All right, go back to jail."
Yeah. So she
Like,
just got.
She got like 3 minutes of the extra time like saved, and that was it.
Yeah. So it would make sense that she did come back dripping wet though.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think she went in, but like had second thoughts,
Mm.
and
So, yeah.
and like went back and was like, "This isn't gonna work. Like I need to figure something out, and it's not gonna work."
Maybe.
And then when it eventually catches up to her with homie straight up standing on the roof
Yeah.
when they
Seeing
leave, and you just see
pain
his
and
freaking dong hanging.
Yeah. Bro moment for
My-
sure there.
My brother moment follows yours exactly, and I said, just imagine how crusty and musty your cast is gonna be for going in the water.
I literally the first thing I thought
Mushy.
I was like, oh, I pissed. It's like, she got her cast wet.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's wet, and then the way you gotta take it off is like you have to saw it off. Like
Yeah.
they're obviously well into the technology,
Yeah.
so they have to saw it off. That thing's gonna be musty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's gonna smell so rotten.
Oh, that's stinky.
Yeah,
Oh, that's stinky.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We have
Nasty.
we have a bro moment that we passed up.
I have still some that we have.
And mine's whenever they're in that house, and Paul finds all that freaking
Dirty
Playboy
those
magazine.
freaking
Dirty
playpen magazines
And there's
and all those
tissues.
used napkins everywhere. I was like, ew, dude! Like someone's just up there just going to town.
Yeah,
man.
I think isn't it Hugh?
Yeah.
Hugh
they
was
said
trying
that
to spread his kids.
they said that Hugh was staying there, man. All those napkins were screaming, "Papa!" Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
One that I thought was funny was when Hugh drops off Jay after doing all that to her, showing her what's it. So early on in the movie, and the cops show up. Dude, everyone and their mom is a chismoso.
Yeah.
Gets out of their house. What's happening?
Mm.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a chismoso too, but not a big chismoso enough to go outside of my house and see what is happening.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I said, bruh, this girl just went through something traumatic. Leave her be.
Yeah.
She's not gonna want to tell you what happened.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Another bro moment for me is Greg's death scene.
Yeah, that was a pretty weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I
a-
didn't remember.
It took me by surprise, and
Is it?
I left it laughing.
Is it odd? Like, is it? Are they? What is the mom doing to him?
She's
I
dry
don't know,
humping.
man.
I think she's
don't
dry
know.
humping.
She's riding him. or
I don't
something.
know. I saw
know
that. I
what.
was like, ooh.
But yeah, first,
what?
well, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, dude, like he's not gonna know it's his mom. Like
Yeah.
that's so.
Well, it's kind of like
crazy.
she's got her
Yeah.
breast out. It's a little like, mom,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But the whole scene starts off, and we just see like
Hey.
Greg walking around in long johns, like outside, and
Yeah.
we're like, what is he doing? And then we see like he tries to open the door and it doesn't work, and then he looks at the window and smashes it, and then just like flops in the window, and immediately we're like, oh, dude,
Oh, that's him.
that's the thing, that's it. And she calls, and Greg's not picking up, and she eventually goes in there and runs up the stairs, and then sees her mom, the mom who is taking, or it the entity is taking the form of Greg's mom, and it looks at her and just kind of looks back and just starts going dong dong dong,
Mhm.
like banging on the door, and eventually Greg opens it up and is just like, what the hell, mom? And then she straight up just goes and like
Pounces.
lunges at him, and
Mhm.
yeah, does
But it
some
almost
questionable
looks like
things.
when you
I-
get to see Greg's body, it almost looks like he was drowned.
Or he was drained, like something. I don't know. Like, he's just pale. Like
He's like
he's
blue
like blue.
pale.
Yeah, like he'd been dead for a minute.
Yeah,
I don't know what it did to him.
yeah, something.
Cleaned
I
him dry.
no idea, dude.
The bro moment I had before that, right before that, they get hot and heavy in the hospital bed, dude.
Yes, dude.
Imagine the nurses
Yeah.
and just going down, bro.
Also, in that small of a bed, like those hospital beds are small, man.
I don't know what hospital beds you've been on, but I've been on some pretty big hospital beds.
Like they're tiny, man. They're like you can only fit one person in there.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why
this is
she's on
like-
top of her.
I was like, in the hospital bed, man?
Honestly,
Yeah.
Come on.
is
It was
it
a pretty
bro
rough. It was a pretty bro moment too, I think, in that scene too, because like she
doesn't even, like-
she's like no, there's no enjoyment.
No,
Like,
she's not
like,
enjoying
she's
it.
looking at it like just like get this thing over with. I want to be done. I want it to be past.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because at
It
first
reminds
she's
me
like,
of that Reddit that we were laughing about a couple weeks ago
Yeah,
with
that-
the sea bat.
Oh, dude.
That's her.
Yeah.
That's her and the boyfriend.
She's all, stop. I know what you're doing.
Honestly, I gotta just highlight my boy Paul.
He tried to get some too.
He just wants some coochie.
Yeah, he does.
That's
Fair
fair coochie.
He straight up said, "I liked you too. Why didn't you choose me?"
Yeah.
So
He's just trying to get it in.
It almost seemed endearing a little bit, but it was also like this weird undertone of like,
Of like, that should have been me.
yeah,
Like,
sleep
yeah.
with me, sleep with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's
it's
like
like
it was-
incel.
a little bit like,
He's a pick me kid and just pick me.
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I understand. Like, obviously they like each other, or he likes her, but it's like, are you really doing it because you want to help her,
Or you're doing it because you just want her.
you just want her? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, interesting
I think he just
there,
wants her.
Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
What other bro moments you guys got?
Next bro moment I have when the thing started throwing like TVs at her and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Because at first it didn't really. The rules to this thing is not really displayed, not
No.
really
No.
told. Like we
It
only
just-
get the very bare bones,
Yeah,
right?
it's just told that it's gonna come after you, kill
right,
you.
right. And then it does say that it's not dumb,
yeah.
which I do appreciate because it doesn't go straight into the water and fall into their plan.
Yeah.
But it straight up starts like yeeting TVs,
Dude,
Yeah.
when he grabs the
fans.
hair dryer, it's literally like this and
and of course
Yeah.
it's very
It looks bad.
no, and it looks bad, and it's very convenient that it really didn't shock her. It
Yeah.
didn't work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she would have been dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, throwing those things, I was like, oh my gosh.
And my last bro moment is Paul and Jay getting it in
Oh, when it's raining?
at the end.
Oh, yeah.
What about what?
He got his wish.
What'd you guys feel about the scene, or what do you think it meant whenever she's trying to get out of the pool and Paul is there shooting, and he hits him in the head, and he goes, "Is it still there?" And she slowly crawls to the
Yeah,
corner.
You see the red.
Yeah, what do you think that was all about?
I don't know. I think that's her seeing that, obviously something is dead.
Yeah, but like, why?
I don't know why it's shown, or maybe it's it's shown to us to be like, oh, they killed it finally. Only
Do you think so?
I think so, and then only to be at the ending, with the very ending, which is my last bro moment, which is when we see
Something following.
the person following them
Yeah.
behind them, and they're holding hands.
Right.
So it leaves you with this like, did they actually?
That's
you know,
why I
stop
said
it, or
earlier
no?
that it calls for a second movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I could easily see this turning into like
A franchise, dude.
like the Friday the
Fast 9.
13th type thing, where it's like, oh, there's just this indestructible guy that's always a threat, like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, and there's nothing that can kill him.
What if the way to kill it was
Yeah.
to kill the person that started it?
That's
That
the
could be
thing,
interesting.
that it could be interesting, and it could like really make you like
There's definitely
have
loopholes
questions
in
of
this
like
system too.
morality and all that stuff.
When does it pass? And like, you know what I mean? Like, what?
Insertion.
Is it immediate?
Yeah, but like,
is
what if it was like a bunch of people in the same room, all naked together? Like, then how would it?
What then? It
Like,
has
if
to be
you're
It has
all
to be
like-
chronological.
But it's like, do you think it would follow? I'm just trying to think of ways where.
It'd be like, I'm coming after you. Wait, no, you. No, now you. No, now you. Like,
yeah, so I'm thinking maybe that could be a way to confuse it or something.
I don't think you gotta be very active if you want to confuse it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
yeah. Okay. If we're done with the bro moments, let's get to the facts,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
have
yeah.
one where I was like, "Are you joking me? Are you kidding me?" So
Let me hit you
let's
with
get
the
into
budget
this.
real quick. So to make this movie, it is estimated it took only $1 million to make this movie.
Only $1 million.
Only $1 million.
Low
Opening
budget.
weekend, it made $160,000, which was March 15th of 2015. Gross for U.S. and Canada made $14.6 million, and gross worldwide made $21.9 million.
Wow,
That's insane.
That's 200% more.
It killed.
man, it did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it killed. So, that's what I don't understand why people don't like it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's unconventional, and it's a different story than what people are used to, and I can see why people don't like it, but I do. I'll back my reasons up. But
Yeah,
for sure.
one of the things that I'll say about the facts that I was just alluding to was that the director had stated that if the entity really needed to, it could take a plane to follow the person
Yeah.
to go after the person that that it needs to follow.
Oh.
So like
I guess it's not dumb. I
Yeah.
always forget that part
That's
of it.
dumb.
no
Well,
like
it's
If it-
it's
if it
so
can-
weird.
That's-
Like
no,
Yeah.
that's stupid. Because if it can transform into anything,
no, it can't. No, it still takes the form of a person, but it can physically get on a plane and fly to you where it is that you flew, and then walk the rest of the way and get
that's
you.
so weird.
Yeah,
Like,
and I saw that and I was like, why? Like,
how?
it seems like the most inefficient way to
Yes.
kill people or like
Yes.
to be a demonic spirit. Why would you like? I can only walk, and I'm in it. Like I literally physically take space in this world, but I can transform.
But nobody sees it, so how is it going to take space?
But it literally does take space. I mean, it literally like they put the tablecloth on it.
yeah, and you can see it.
And
or
you can
whenever
see
they
it.
hit him with the chair, it dents, and then
Like
homie gets eaten.
it's literally there, just invisible. So people will knock into it and be like, "Whoa, what the heck was that?"
Yeah.
You know,
Glitch in the Matrix.
it's just like as a demon,
yeah.
why? Oh, that's my question.
Another one that I had actually was that the concept derives from a reoccurring nightmare that the director used to have, in which he would be stalked by a predator that continually walked slowly towards him.
Hmm.
Pretty
I
cool.
thought this fact was pretty cool, but in the background, certain scenes involving crowds, there are some people seemingly walking slowly in view toward Jay and her friends. This is to give the viewers a sense of anxiety over
Mhm.
the possibility of any of those people being the entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you read through the reviews, this is literally what they're highlighting. People are saying like, you don't know if it's the soccer player or if it's the band teacher or if it's the old lady walking towards you. You just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's that fear and tension that builds throughout the film because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So it's cool that it was
Reading that-
intentional.
I liked it.
Yeah, pretty cool. I said that there's a total of 11 actors who portrayed the thing,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool.
Really?
They got
Yeah.
11 people.
One thing that I really liked involving it was the colors of red or pink are used to foreshadow upcoming appearances of it, as they appear either in the background or the character's piece of clothing whenever it attacks. So when I read that fact, I found myself just looking at certain things, and yeah, you could see, like when it shows up in the first house, Paul is wearing red pajama pants and a tie-dye red shirt.
Mm.
And it shows up. The other one was at the beach. There's a red towel.
Oh, okay.
Like it's
I
just
wonder why do you think that is?
I don't know.
blood.
Oh, maybe to signal some kind of like,
Violence
Mm.
of
Yeah.
some sort.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking blood, but I don't know.
Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Definitely cool.
In regards to actually one of the actors that played it, the super tall guy, his name is Mike Lanier. I hope I'm saying his last name right, but he's actually 7'7",
Insane.
and he's just a guy that lives in Detroit where they were filming, and he actually designs engines for General Motors, and is one half of the world's tallest twins.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
so he has
Wait,
another
what?
twin, man, that's as tall as him,
Jeez.
if not taller.
Could have used him.
Yeah,
It would have been even more terrifying.
One half.
of the tallest twins. So there's another twin. He's one of the twins. He's one half.
Oh.
He's the lower half.
Yeah.
The twin is the upper half.
Yeah, they were standing on each other's shoulders. Another one that I have is actually in the movie. In the beginning of the film, when Jay is seen looking into the mirror as she gets ready for her date with Hugh, there are two photos on the side of her mirror. One of them swimming in the pool, and the other of her and her father. This is where we get to see that at the end of the movie, that the thing takes form of her father and attacks her in the swimming pool. But we only really get to be in on that if you were paying attention to those photos that are shown on that mirror.
I was not.
My last fact that I have is the entire score by Disaster Piece was actually completed in less than 3 weeks,
That's crazy.
which I think is crazy because I feel like composing music takes a while.
Yeah. I actually have another one in regards to the creator of the score. He goes by Disaster Piece. And he recorded the score for the film because the director, David Robert Mitchell, was a huge fan of the video game Fez,
You're kidding me.
which Disaster Piece also did the music for.
That's why I love it so much. Oh,
Fez.
didn't I tell you? Okay, I
Yes.
promise you I didn't read that fact before I told you. Because
Yeah.
I straight up went to you and said, man, it really sounded a lot like Fez and a lot like Oh gosh, Uncut Gems.
Yes.
It has that very ethereal nature to it.
Yeah, it's very synth heavy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a game called Fez.
Yes.
And it's incredible. It's the first game I had ever 100%ed.
Oh, okay.
It's the first one, and I promise you, I know life that game.
I've seen you play this game.
It's awesome, dude. It's so unique. It's more of like a very short indie-ish game,
Mm-hmm.
and I recommend it. It's awesome.
I've seen you play this, yeah.
Recently came out on Switch.
Okay.
Anyways, I will say the last fact I have here is interesting because trying to be in the horror genre. J is short for Jamie, a tribute to Scream queen Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
And Jay in the film has a sister named Kelly, and Jamie Lee Curtis also has a sister named Kelly.
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
Nice. The last one that I have actually was that the film was actually supposed to be more violent in previous drafts of the script, but all the violence was toned down to make sure that it secured an R rating.
And is that your last fact?
Yes.
With that, I'm going to lead to what didn't work because I think that's something that didn't work.
You wish it was more violent?
I wish it was more violent, and I wish it was a little bit more scary in an aspect. It didn't necessarily take me out of the movie because, yes, I still got scared in some points of the movie, but I do definitely think it could have been a lot scarier.
Oh, for sure.
And I wish I did see that.
Yeah, I think I have something along the same lines, which I kind of already talked about, which is that some of the scares that happen, they come off more funny
Yeah.
than they should.
Yeah.
And like I said, in particular with that girl peeing herself, like it's creepy at first, but then it continues to show us, and it feels like it's just like, oh, are you creeped out yet? Are you scared? It kind of overstays its welcome. Same
Yeah.
thing with the boy crawling through the door and screeching.
Screeching, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wish it was a little bit more risky.
Okay.
More of the risk and scare factor is what I want
Mm-hmm.
in this. Which is still it's not necessarily bad, but I do wish
Yeah.
I had more of it.
Mhm.
Okay.
You guys might not agree. I didn't really like the characters very much.
They
I
don't have-
kinda
they
agree
don't
with
have-
you.
I didn't really care about them.
They don't have the greatest motivations.
No. And I will say
Or
that not even
any,
really
like,
the greatest
Any depth.
acting
Well,
either.
and that's what I was gonna say. I kind of agree with
Yeah,
you because
I think the
these
only
are new actors.
Yeah, I think the only one that really does any great acting in this is the woman who plays Jay
Mhm.
and the guy who plays Paul.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
they're
the guy who
really-
played Paul reminds me of the guy from Perks of Being a Wallflower. not-
Logan Lerman.
Is that his name?
I think so. He's actually in a show called Atypical,
Yeah, on Netflix.
which is
Never seen
I've
it.
heard good things.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you. And I feel like it's because we don't know these actors,
Mm.
and and this probably is probably one of their first major movies.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it did feel a little amateurish in a lot of scenes, which I don't know. I don't want to hold it against it because the budget wasn't like the biggest thing in the
Biggest,
world,
yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
sometimes I was like, it doesn't really feel very like refined
Mhm.
enough for me to really engage. And then I was just thinking about it, like I don't really the tension here. Like I'm not scared of this movie at all.
Mm.
And I think it's because it's so like highly refined. Like I don't get like leaving the film. I don't get why you would be scared in your own world because
Okay.
like
Unless you are a person who's sexually active a lot.
right,
That's the only time I'd be scared.
right.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't see myself leaving this film and being like, it's gonna come after me. It's just
Yeah.
like, well, you gotta
I
sleep with
think-
one person out of the 7 billion that are in this world.
Yeah,
know, it's
I
kinda
think
like-
I think it's just that feeling of being
Chase.
stalked or like
Almost-
chased.
But like,
Almost like when the warden is chasing us in.
and that's a
Yeah.
terrifying. But you put yourself in that situation. This is more of like, I don't know. It feels very localized.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's just like I would never walk out and then imagine me seeing like a 7-foot person because I have no reason to because
Yeah.
I didn't sleep with anyone who had a curse. You know?
Imagine waking up and you go to work and you just see Shaquille O'Neal standing outside your door. That wouldn't scare you?
It depends on if you had butthole eye. If you did, I'm gone. I'm scared.
Another thing that we talked about it a little bit, so it's kind of nice. I kind of wish I saw how it started, and how is it what motivates it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wish there's a prequel to this. and where
Yeah.
like what the origin of it. Like it doesn't have to be in depth. Don't get me wrong. I think this movie works a lot for that, from that. But I do think think a lot of people would need that. And
Yeah, it'd have to be
Some
handled
lore.
with a lot of care,
yes,
and it'd have to be. They'd have to put in a lot of work to make sure that it doesn't come off like cheesy.
yeah,
Because there's
You want lore.
yeah.
what
I
can
think
you
you're a lore man.
What-
You
You-
are.
I feel like he's
He
been
is.
complaining about it. Couple movies we've done,
I don't know. I just
and there's
wonder.
nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think like what's something that a person can do to even start this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just thinking like some brujeria or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
But obviously, there's.
I was
way
thinking
more.
of like some necrophilia type stuff.
something.
And
It
there's
could
a
be
million.
like Ghost Rider. They sold their soul to the devil.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
And they're like, now you're cursed.
passing it on.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the ghost. I wanted to see it like transform
Mhm.
at least once, because it kind of just shows up
Like
as the
shapeshift?
thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to see like how does it do it? You
Yeah.
know, how
How
does
did it
it
go to the girl that got shot to the boy?
Yeah,
I get you.
I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And why
Yeah, I
it chooses
think that
what
could-
it chooses to be?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that could have been cool.
I think so too.
I'll have to say one of the things I didn't think worked here was that some of the CGI just isn't good.
Yeah.
Like when those things are getting thrown in the pool, it looks bad.
You see like something float up.
Yeah, it just goes.
You for sure can tell it's somebody
Like-
just in a green bodysuit.
Not even that. Like I just think that like it doesn't look real. It looks
Mhm.
it looks fake. And the same thing with the driving car scene, which
Mhm.
I'll pull up later for you guys so you can check it out. Then lastly, I do not know why those neighbor kids ever needed to be shown.
Tell me what they were about.
The
They,
one-
had,
the
like,
ones-
they were
Peeking at her?
Yeah, like
And
they're
they
in
were
the
the
pool
one-
and they're peeking at her through the thing, and then
and they hinged a jump scare on one of them.
Yeah,
for
like-
no reason.
exactly. And I didn't know why they needed to ever be added, other than just to like
They were never explained.
to throw in a jump scare.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're just in the two scenes and then they're gone.
Yeah. I get you.
I found myself being like, at the end of it, being like, well, what were those kids
I didn't
about?
think
Like
about that.
why did they need to be there in the first place?
They
They could have been cut from this movie and we would have lost nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I
Nothing
see
at all.
you.
Yeah. That's it.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is just some of the character decisions. I was just
Mhm.
We get it. You wouldn't leave your friends behind.
not even that.
Well-
It's just like okay, they've shot it, and it didn't die, so then they go to a pool to try to electrocute it. How? Why? What? In what world would
Yeah.
you have thought about that?
So I had actually heard the director defend the choice.
Okay,
and
please.
saying that like these kids are dumb.
They
like,
are dumb.
and they make dumb decisions. They're
Yeah.
this is like a decision that like somebody in Scooby Doo would make.
Yeah,
And
You
know,
they didn't
he-
really feel like humans.
Yeah,
They
and
kinda
he's
felt
like-
just like
he's like, when I thought about the ending of the film, I thought about what could these kids try to do anything within their means to take the thing out, and something that they could easily do, or that like I think any kid would try to think of would be like, oh, we have to try to kill it. How do we kill it? Let's try to trick it into getting it in this pool and electrocuting it somehow or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
but like they already shot it.
Yeah,
So it's like,
that's true.
if
Yeah.
if a gun literally doesn't work,
Yeah.
electrocution.
Well, one
Yeah.
gunshot doesn't just kill one person.
Well, like right there
Yeah.
in the neck, that's kind of like a really important area.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I'll also say, if we're finished with that
Yeah.
topic there.
Yeah.
I hear from a lot of people that this movie wears its inspiration on its sleeve very heavily.
Interesting.
And that this movie is heavily inspired by John Carpenter.
I read a fact.
Who would go on to, he would create Halloween, which is an iconic horror movie, as well as like movies like The Thing,
Mhm.
movies like They Live, a couple other horror movies as well that he has under his belt that, would serve inspiration for tons of directors. And I'd heard that this movie, it's just essentially Halloween. And it's like that feeling
In
of being
broad daylight or something.
it's that
Halloween,
feeling of
Jamie Lee Curtis.
yeah.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And it's that feeling of being stalked and being helpless. Like, think of the Michael Myers as a character.
Oh yeah.
Like, he literally does the same thing. Like, walks everywhere, stalks characters. He's seemingly indestructible.
Yeah, he gets shot and
He,
doesn't do
like,
anything.
never dies. Like
It's literally Halloween, but he's invisible.
yes.
Oh,
And it gets transferred, like a curse, rather than like it's just this presence,
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
The only one I had seen it compared to is that new film called Smile,
Okay, yeah.
I wanna
saw
watch
a lot
that.
of
which
people-
I've heard good things.
Yeah, me too.
So that's the only one I heard. But yeah, looking at just thinking about the idea of Halloween and Michael Myers and this how it connects
Yeah.
to this film, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why people would be like, come on.
Yeah. Well, if that's it for what didn't work, let's get into what did work.
Yeah. Immediately, I'll start with the soundtrack.
I was
That's
going to say, first and foremost,
Yes.
soundtrack.
soundtrack is so sick.
Yeah.
It really gives it this like retro feel, and it kind of makes you feel like, I don't know, like ethereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And like the first time I noticed it was when she was in the pool.
Yeah, and it's like
It sounded.
it sounds like an 8-bit game.
It
you know?
does.
Like
It sounds so cool.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I have to say that was the first thing immediately that worked for me too. After that is the cinematography.
Yes, the camera work for me.
It's gorgeous. I love those slow zooms and how ominous it makes certain scenes. Like
The specific
it's so simple. It's so simple to just slowly zoom in on something, but it adds that tension, and then you couple that with a great score like this, and acting from characters and good writing. Like it just creates this feeling of tension, this feeling of just unease, and I really appreciated
I
that.
specifically, when I texted you guys today when I was watching it about the camera work, my favorite was the wheelchair scene.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. That's pretty cool.
I liked it because it looks like
It's like
on
yeah, it's
like an
hooked
extension
it's
to
hooked
the
onto the wheelchair, and then it follows.
and it follows, and I really enjoyed that.
It follows.
But that's a knee slapper. I liked it because I was scared because you don't see what's behind the camera, you just see her reaction
Mhm.
and his reaction and whatever's behind them, and I think it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's when I texted you. I was like, dude, the camera work on this is beautiful. It's amazing.
I definitely agree there.
Same.
Um,
I have to say I really like some of the writing here as well. I think it's good. There's definitely things that could be improved upon, but I feel like the world that they build here is it's built very intently,
Mhm.
and there's no detail that doesn't get glossed over, and I think that's really important. I also like that the scariest thing about this movie is that it just lets your mind race.
yeah.
And, like we'd said, this movie isn't insanely scary. It's not something that's going to like leave you, with nightmares and thinking about things like, laying in bed at night. This movie, it allows your mind to go places, and that ends up being the scariest part because your mind just can go anywhere and everywhere, and the movie allows it to do so, and that's what ends up being the scariest thing.
Mhm.
I think of a quote from Jordan Peele. He previously was just doing a press tour for his movie Nope that came out this year, and he sort of said the same thing, where he got tons of inspiration from a movie like The Blair Witch Project, and he said that The Blair Witch Project is a movie that basically nothing happens, like you just watching stuff happen, and the scariest part about that movie is
It's not knowing what's going to happen.
not knowing what's going to happen,
Mhm.
and your mind just plays tricks on you the whole time, and you just think that this thing's going to happen, and then it never does.
Yeah.
And he's like, that was a huge inspiration for me when, writing a movie like Nope. Like the entire time in the movie Nope, you're looking in the sky, like thinking,
is it behind
am
that
I going to
cloud?
see this thing? Where is
That
it at?
cloud?
Is
What-
it behind there? Is it behind there?
Yeah.
Where is it? And I think you do the same thing here. You watch certain scenes and you see people walking, and you're like, is that it? Is that it? Could it be this? Oh, it's not this person. Like, okay, let's get up and walk away from this. And then, as soon as they walk away, they see somebody walking, and you're like, could it be them? Like, you have no idea. And I think that it really nails that in that area. So
Sure. Yeah.
I do think this movie is rewatchable, but I said every so years, not like every year, but I feel like I will return to this movie for sure.
for sure.
All right.
I think so too. I think it's one of those things. I'm not going to come back to it like a ton, I
Yeah.
think.
No.
But I think it has some rewatchability there for
I-
sure.
And that's good.
Yeah.
All right. If that's it for what did work, who wins this movie?
I put it/J
Okay.
because I just think about that entity of just being followed.
Yeah.
But then Jay is obviously the main character, and she plays it off really well. So I
Yeah.
put both of them.
Yeah. Her name's
Micah Monroe?
Micah.
I don't know how to
I'm
pronounce that.
I'll say Micah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correct. Micah Monroe. Yeah, she wins it for me. I definitely would like to see her in more. I think she's in a new movie out actually, called like Watcher or something like that.
Oh.
That came out this year on some streaming platform. I'm not entirely sure what, but
Watcher.
yeah, I'd be excited to see where her career goes, and if she becomes like the new like Scream Queen, like Jamie Lee Curtis,
yeah.
So, if that's it for who wins the movie, or did say?
I would just give a shout out to Paul. His name is, I think it's Kier Gilchrist.
Okay.
I think that the scenes that he's in when it comes to him and Jay, I think that he does a fine job at having that subtle relationship that he longs for, and she kind of, it almost seems like he's always been overlooked throughout their
Yeah.
relationship, and he brings a little bit of nuance out of that.
Definitely.
And I appreciated that from him.
All right. What are some themes?
No sex.
Yeah, I've just put don't do the dirty.
No. No coitus, man.
Yeah, seriously. Any other themes? The other themes here?
No, I did write down this in the theme section, but it's not a theme. But I said adults can play tag too. It's just different.
Oh, this guy.
Adults can play tag too.
Yeah,
That's where
tag you're it.
Tag, you're it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think if we're like trying to like go deeper, like you can probably say like this movie is, about like the stripping of one's innocence, and when because you can't get that back, now you have this this presence that just wants to
one might call it
consume.
guilt.
It wants to hurt. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it could not only be looked at as like just an STD, like
Yeah.
a picture of an STD, but also like the guilt that follows with certain things that you regret or things like that, and then they ultimately either end up consuming you, or you get over them and you pass them on to somebody else, quote unquote, or you get over them.
That definitely could be a good metaphor.
Yeah.
Definitely, I could see that tying in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for the themes. What are we rating this?
What do you guys got?
I give it an 8.
Okay.
Interesting.
What do you got?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay. I think I'm going to lean to a 7.
Okay.
I think it's fun. It's a fun movie. I enjoy it. It's a different take on horror movies. I appreciate it for its originality, or where it at least gets some of its originality from. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Overall, it's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, if that's it for the episode, we appreciate you guys
Sorry
for
about
sticking around here. So, yeah, if you appreciated it, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that bell notification so you guys get notified about the uploads. We upload every Wednesday at 9:15, and we also upload all the podcasts on audio platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all that stuff. So, if you ever want to get in contact with any of us, all of our methods of contact and everything is in every episode description on all platforms. You can, reach out to us on Instagram. You can reach out to us via our email or our Letterboxd accounts. Send us, recommendations. Send us, criticisms, love, whatever it is that you guys want. Use those platforms. But it does help if you guys rate and review the shows on those audio platforms, as well as comment and like and subscribe on the YouTube channels. It shows people that, there's something worth checking out here. And if we get people, behind this thing, we can continue to grow this little community that we've got of film lovers. So, with that being said, next week it is Nick's pick.
Sure is. Yeah. Speaking of John Carpenter, man, we're going to be doing the 1982 film The Thing.
All right.
The older one, not the remake. I have heard so many good things about this film. There's so many people who analyze it for the horror. They analyze it for the biology of the thing.
I've also seen it like categorized as like sci-fi too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Horror, mystery, sci-fi.
Yeah.
And it's something that I definitely want to visit. I mean, I've seen the remake, and I don't remember exactly my feelings toward it. It's been so long. But I'm excited to see, because it's a 1982. I'm excited to see if they do, how they go the CGI route, or if they do a lot of practical effects or anything like that. And it also, you know, tying it into the film we've done now, it's a little bit of like that lingering, who is it?
Presence.
Like it could be any one of the crewmates.
Exactly.
There's tons of things that we can do to see who it is, and yet are they going to listen? How is this going to play out?
Mhm.
How's the power dynamic going to be in this group? I don't know. I'm really excited.
Me too.
It seems to be a classic, right? It's got
Yeah.
Kurt Russell in it.
Yeah, I have to say, as bad as it's going to sound, I have not watched any John Carpenter movies, and I've been needing a reason to do so. And The Thing, I think, is going to be a perfect starting point for me.
Oh yeah.
And I've even been recently wanting to check out Halloween, which I've never even done, which is, again, a sin. But keep in mind, I've just barely been getting into horror movies, so my entire life I've been scared of everything. So, you know, give me some grace there in that aspect. But I've been definitely wanted to check out a lot of his movies. He's an intriguing guy, and I'm really excited to see, you know, what he does, not only with, you know, something like horror, which I know he's really known for, but also, you know, encompassing sci-fi and encompassing like almost kind of like a whodunit type film. So I've hear nothing but great about this. So
Yeah.
Is it streaming anywhere?
That I will check as I'm talking. I actually don't think it is. I remember I think we had talked about it recently. I think I bought it solely for the thing, or solely for this podcast, and I'm reading here that it says Peacock Premium.
yes.
It's streaming.
Where I think I have Peacock.
So if you have Peacock,
Yes. Otherwise, I'm seeing here $4 to rent on common stuff, YouTube, Amazon TV, Apple TV, stuff like that.
yes.
So that's where they'll be. I'm guessing it's cheap at a secondhand store. I mean, it's 1982. It's got to be cheap. It's got to be like $2 to buy.
I think I picked up a copy at a Barnes and Noble for like $9.
Oh yeah,
That's not bad.
And it was brand new.
yeah.
Like-
So I can't think of anything more than $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, just Peacock only. So
Okay.
there we go.
All right. Well, next week we're going to be talking about The Thing by John Carpenter. Tune in next week and hear our thoughts about that film. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.